Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to turn a photo like this into a photo like this with that edited black background. So I'm going to be doing this in Lightroom. I have Lightroom 5, but this works in Lightroom 4 and 3 and 2. You can also do a very similar thing in Photoshop. I just find it easier to do in Lightroom. So the first step to this process is getting a photo that will work. And what I mean by that is we want a photo that the light comes in and hits the front and hits the subject, and the light isn't coming in from the back. So you want kind of a darker background like I have here. This dark green, if you can have black in the background, especially along where the moon is, that's ideal, like black fencing or something like that. But just in general, you want a photo with a darker background and a lighter foreground on the subject. Next thing we're going to do is start our editing process. So what I like to do is really bump up the contrast of the photo. So we bumped up the contrast. I also like to pull the blacks down to really bring them out and to darken that already dark black background. And then you can play around a little bit with, your shadows, your lights, your highlights, stuff like that. But you really want the photo to look edited. You want it to look very contrasty. So the next step is kind of where the most important step comes in. It's the editing in the black. If you're on Photoshop, you can simply use a black brush to paint this black in Lightroom. I'm sure there might be an easy way. This is just the way I do it. I get the adjustment brush, and I bring down the exposure all the way, bring up the contrast all the way, and down the highlights all the way. And I use this and see how that makes that black like that. And I just go out and pretty much color the entire photo of what I don't want black. I like to have the feather all the way up so that I can kind of get in and make the edges a little bit, darker without making them totally black. That's what the feather helps to do. It helps to sort of make this look more natural. So here you can see I've done it all. I went in, I filled one by one, and I went in and I made sure I was very careful getting all around here. You want to be careful with this step, because if you take out too much of the frizz, you're going to make it look unnatural. But if you leave in the frizz, light tends to get in between, and you'll be able to see the lighter background through it. This is why I got lucky that this picture was in braids. Part of the reason I chose it was because I could take out the frizz and still have the name in the braids. And so you can't see any of that background. You can see a little bit of green here and there, but overall, it looks pretty clean, as if the braids were just very well done, no frizz on the braids. So as I said, you can see I'm pretty much done with the first biggest step, I guess you could say, of this picture. This I'll explain to you in a little bit. But I just made sure that my lines were very clean and not all over the place. You want to make sure you hug close, but you don't take out the little details such as the eyelash, which is why I suggested the feather, because you can kind of go over that without taking it out all the way. It's still there. It's not as bright, but it's still there. And then with the black, you can really see how this part of the subject is very light. How this really had the light shining in on it, which helps give this photo the look of a natural black background. So next, to finally make this photo, pop. What I like to do is add a sort of vignette to it. I hope I'm saying that right. Just to sort of, it just looks better. The gradual sort of blacking out of the edges, to me, makes it look a little bit more natural, or it makes the editing come together a little bit more. And I just like the way it looks. You don't have to, as you saw the last section was totally fine. You have your edited black background, that's what you can mix with. But this is just what I do to make my photos pop a little bit more. The reason I had blacked this out earlier is because it looked funny, the rains with the vignette. So I blacked it out so it looks a bit more natural. So the vignette adds a little bit of gradual darkening to the edges. And then my last step is just simple editing that I'd like to do to my photos of this type, as I play with the color curves a little bit. So right there, you have my final product. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is something I love to do. I've done this to a lot of photos. And if you'd like me to do a quick tutorial about how to do a natural black background as well, I'd be happy to do that, because those are much easier. But yeah, go ahead, try this. It can take some, some practicing, and it also takes a little bit to get the right photo. You really have to try to get the right photo with this. It's hard to do this with the wrong type of photo. But yeah, I hope this helped you guys, and let me know if you try this. Send me your picture. Let me see it. Let me see how well you've done, because I'm sure you all have it.